Thank you for stopping by Reviews by Nitra. In this video, I'm going to be sharing how to upgrade your mobile home windows. First, let's talk about how you measure for your windows. You want to take your measurements from the interior of the window. The width measurement you can take with that current trim in place, but for the height, try to remove that decorative bottom sill piece, usually just adhered with some adhesions, and pry that out so that you can get a true measurement. We started with taking off the shutters. We are updating these windows from a single pane aluminum window to a double pane low-E vinyl window. The first window we installed was an oops moment. We actually cut out around the window opening. You can kind of see it here. We didn't commit to taking off the siding, so let me tell you, just commit to taking off the siding and starting there. As we took off the pieces, I numbered the siding piece and then put the same number on the wall where it remained, so it would just be easier when we put it back on. There is a siding removal tool. It took us a while to actually get the hang of it, and you have to be pretty aggressive with using it. I'll show it later on in the video. This was our first experience removing vinyl siding. The last place we had metal siding, and the windows just adhered and screwed in over that metal siding. So if you do have the vinyl siding, we recommend removing all of that. If you have the metal siding, you probably can just put your windows right over the metal siding and screw in that way, possibly adding decorative trim over your screws if you would like. These windows were just put in place with staples. I actually couldn't even believe it. It was just staples that kept these windows in. But the vinyl siding does help protect and keep these windows in place. We will be using screws to adhere the new windows. We first dry fit the windows. We had to remove some shims from the previous window. We then added an adhesive to the interior of the window. Then we placed it back into the area and began to screw it in place. As you watch along with the video, you will start to see more of that process as we go. We did those first 3 in one day, and then I went inside and made sure to caulk in all around the seams interior. Here we are on the other side of the house on a different day. We took off all the siding, and it was all interconnected, and we had 3 windows down this side of the house, so you pretty much just have to take off all the siding and commit to doing that, and then replace all of those windows at one time. Make sure you check the weather for the day. As you can see, he just dry fitted it, and now I'm going to add the adhesive to the interior of the window, which will lie against the house. At that point, I'm running inside and I'm making sure that it is level on the interior of the sill. When placing the screws in, place one at the top, one at the bottom, one in the middle right, and one in the middle left, and then continue to fill in all the other screws around. The tools we used the most were the pliers to remove the staples and the crowbar to kind of break that seal from window to house. Once all 3 new windows were installed, we started to put the siding back up. I do want to point out that being organized from the beginning will help you in the long run. So as you're taking off that siding, remember to number the piece and number where you took it off of the house at. This made the process so much quicker. We decided to use siding nails to put the pieces back up on the house. and we stayed within the same area that we took the previous staples out of. Our thinking behind that is that we'll still hit all of the studs where needed. Putting the siding back up is actually pretty self-explanatory once you start doing it, but it's more of a click in the bottom, and sometimes you have to hit it in with the palm of your hand a bit. You can also use your siding tool to kind of pull down and push in, and then you nail in place. All right, different day, different side of the house. Here I am removing the siding. You want to start at the top and work your way down when you are removing, and you'll do the opposite when you're putting it back up. This is the siding removal tool. It has a little hook that you pop up underneath the bottom lip and you pull down. And the trick to this is to also wiggle the top of the vinyl siding as well, right there, as you can see, and pull down pretty aggressively with that tool. I removed the entire front half of the house of siding around all of the windows. Now we're going to start popping out those old windows and dry fitting the new windows. Then I took my Purdy 1-in-10 tool to clean up all of the excess old caulking that was in the window. And then we also had to remove some old shims that were put there. Just another reminder, once you get that window finalized and set in, start with one screw at the top, one on the right, one on the left, one on the bottom, and then continue to screw in around the entire window. This will help balance it as you put in the screws. As that third window is being screwed in, the first two are complete. So we begin to now put the vinyl siding back up. As you see here, I'm going to nail this vinyl siding back into the house. A technique that I found helpful is to nail back in the same hole that you took the staples out of, or very close to it. I know I previously mentioned it throughout the video, but this also ensured that everything stayed exactly where it was, and you're not going to get to the very last piece and not be able to click it in. So make sure you're paying attention and nailing back in to the same areas that you're taking the staples out of. Finally on to the back and last final side of the house with these 4 windows being switched out. So again, we're gonna take off all of that siding. So before we put that window back in for the final size up, I'm going to add that adhesive sealant. Now we're gonna pop that in. I'm gonna make sure it's level on the inside, and then he's gonna start screwing at the top, the right, the left, and the bottom, and then continue to finish all of the screws out. I did want to mention throughout the process, we did have to bend some of the aluminum frames to get the siding out. They're really small pieces in between each window. However, many of these windows did end up being in good condition after removing them. So something to think about, you could probably relist all of the windows on the Facebook Marketplace like I did. Somebody came to pick them up. I did list them for free because they were damaged. However, I then didn't have to take it to the waste management center or have to figure out how to get rid of them. Someone came to pick them up and probably just scrapped them for the aluminum. We painted the shutters in a cafe blue color, bought it at Lowe's if anyone's interested, and now we're going to rehang them back in its previous location. Follow along on more projects and our other properties at our Instagram page, blue.sage.properties. The brand of windows that I used were Croft Vinyl Windows. A lot of times you can find a supplier if you are a business, or you can find them at your local mobile home depots. And this is the brand and the exact item that we used for the adhesive sealant to go on the interior sill of all of the windows. One of the biggest things that we noticed with these new windows was the sound reduction that it provides. You no longer hear cars driving by or car doors shutting. These windows also have that bottom pane that pops down for ease of clean. This particular brand also comes with a limited warranty, and it has the screens on the exterior of the windows. Alright, so this next section of the video are for the people that have the metal siding that I spoke about earlier in the video. This property had metal siding, so let me show you how this process worked for us. Something you noticed right away is that these screws were painted over many times throughout its life, so we had to hammer it a little bit to get the socket on the screw before we could get that screw to release. Before you even start this process, it's a good idea to have a few of these socket bits handy throughout the process. Something we learned along the way is add a lot of sealant. Don't be afraid that you're going to add too much. Add a nice thick bead. Because this is metal siding, we went ahead and used a metal roofing screw. He is now going to add in the drip edge. We would dry fit the window. I'm adding the sealant around the windowsill, and then we also wanted to add some sealant around the opening on the house. We now have one window left, and it was underneath the carport area. Because these windows sit on top of the metal siding, the shutters were nicely tucked on both sides of the window. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I had originally taken out that windowsill to make sure I got an accurate measurement. Now I'll add a new trim around the entire inside of the window, and then I'll caulk it out and paint it. And this will conclude the video. We have now shown you how to replace your mobile home windows with vinyl siding and with metal siding. We hope you found this helpful. For more reviews and projects, please subscribe and hit that like button.